Hello, good evening to everybody. Welcome, I am Nsah, and as usual, I've come this online so we can have a chat about a number of things, and I'm very happy this evening because the topics for discussion, I've actually gathered them from suggestions. They are suggestions that have come from people who often watch my online videos. So that is a sign of commitment, and also a sign that the videos I do are somehow or somewhat interesting or useful to people. So this afternoon, after I asked about the different topics we could talk about today, people have given a good number of them, but I've selected a few. There are some that are almost completely out of my domain of expertise or competence or whatever. But then now, or some that for personal and other reasons, I would not want to venture into them. But then they are also very good ideas that people have brought up. And I think that I know one or two things there, or I have one or two opinions in that direction, and it will be important to share with us. And I do hope that we shall be participating and strengthening me where I get weak or where I miss out on something, and perhaps asking questions to keep the ball rolling and make it more entertaining and more participating, because it's not a one-man show. That being said, I welcome everybody who's already on board. I welcome Basu. I welcome Ekpe Inyang, the poet. I welcome Jean-Claude. And I welcome Gama Leo. Welcome on board. I've actually tagged about 4 people here. I hardly do tagging. I don't really like tagging, but I tag them because they are people who suggested some of the topics I will be discussing today. So I thought it wise to tag them, so that even if they are not online now, they can easily follow up the video, assuming that we will be able to go through successfully with it without having any hitches and record it. So I have tagged Kenneth Ndimba, and I've tagged Kizito Nda, I've tagged Ngamjuan, and I've tagged Kevin, who have given some of the suggestions. So this evening, one of the first things I would like to say a couple of words about is the suggestion from Kenneth Dimba, asking how can culture, or how culture can have an impact in solving political and religious problems. And that's a very interesting point of discussion, not only for me, but I guess for many of us, because we are all products of culture. We all belong to culture in one way or the other. We are all culturally implicated. And the societies in which we live and the things we do are, for the larger part, culturally constructed. So I think his question is so pertinent, because even political and religious problems, or whether they're political and social problems, they come out from, they are as a result of culture. They are implicated and imbricated within culture. And so culture can always play a part. Culture here construed, I think, like understood in a very broad sense. Culture understood in a quite a broad sense as the way of life of human beings, or the way human beings structure and go about their lives, without going into technical details. So on that assumption, I believe that culture, as my brother Kenneth was saying, is to be understood as different aspects and dimensions of culture, and how they can help us mitigate or prevent problems, or resolve them when they have already happened. And for me, I would like to talk about it in terms of what I call vectors or vehicles of culture, the carriers of culture. I know, yes, the number one carrier of culture is the human being. All of us humans, we emanate culture, and we are the creators of culture, and culture also creates us. So there is a dialogical relationship between culture and the human beings of the societies out of which culture emanates. So, but again, apart from human beings who are at the center of it, another vehicle of culture is language. Language is a carrier of culture, a very important, a fundamental carrier of culture. And then other carriers of culture will include things like dance, traditional dance or music. Then literature, whether poetry or drama or prose, film, cinema, fashion, dressing, food, and so on and so forth. All these things, they are carriers, they are vectors of culture. But I cannot talk about all of them today. I think that culture, or these aspects of culture, or some of them that I've just mentioned, have over the ages been proven to be very instrumental, very important in negatively causing problems and also positively solving problems. So, and it would only cause problems if there is intolerance. They only cause problems if there is intolerance, I think. If culturally speaking, people are intolerant, we don't tolerate other people's cultures and points of views, because culture helps us to create a point of view or a world view. It makes us, it shapes our perception of the world. The angle from which we see the world is controlled, is shaped, is influenced by our cultural milieus and our cultural values and norms. But culture, I do believe, is important in that it can proactively prevent problems if it is used, if it is put to good use. So, because when we want to talk about solving problems or conflict resolution or whatever, the first and important thing is proaction, prevention, rather than solve solutions. But then when it happens that the problem is already there, I think culture can also reactively contribute to solving problems. So I want to give just examples of a few examples, because one of the problems that arise from political and religious intolerance or misunderstandings is usually war or armed conflict. Now, when we take cases like maybe, for example, the current war in Cameroon, in Anglophone Cameroon, which is a very bad experience, just like many other wars in other parts of the world, including Africa and elsewhere, they usually are implicated in culture. But the only problem is that people who have positions of responsibility, who can prevent and preempt and mitigate and stop conflicts or stop problems from happening, do not seem to understand the dynamics of culture and do not want to listen to culture or to cultural icons or to cultural promoters or to cultural practitioners. Because when you take the case of the war in Cameroon, leaving away even the history, if people had been attentive to just literary writing, a lot of literary writing has happened, has come out from Anglophone Cameroon and even Francophone Cameroon on the so-called Anglophone problem. And if people could listen to it in time, if people could read those books and discover that the books are pointing, because literature and culture, or other forms of culture like film and music, sometimes preempt or foresee trouble, and when they foresee those things and write about them, it actually means that they want those things to be stopped from happening. So when we are in positions of power, whether we are running an enterprise or we are running a country or whatever, it is important to give a listening ear to artists, to cultural practitioners, because they are the people who have a kind of intuition, they have a kind of innate ability to preempt and to predict, to see events even before they happen. And when people do criticize or condemn things, it is because they have, when a writer or a musician or a film director or whoever pinpoints problems in a system, it's not because they hate the system, it's rather because they love the system and they want the system to do better. So when people criticize a particular system, it means that they have, or at least they have a vision of an alternative to that system. So, or to the aspects of that system that are being criticized or that are being are being condemned or are being shown to be the weaknesses thereof. So that's one way in which culture can prevent or preempt or proactively prevent social or political or whatever kinds of problems from happening. But the point is always, when in some parts of the world, especially here in Africa, we tend to look at cultural practitioners who have that ability to foresee trouble and write about it so that we stop, people tend to see them as enemies instead of seeing them as people who are constructing, who are helping together to construct a better society. So musicians, like if you take a musician like Longe in Cameroon, that's a very politically and socially committed singer. He sings about the problems of society, and when he's singing about those problems of society, he has sung about the general problems of Africa, because I'm Pan-Africanist in my views. So, and he has lamented the fate of Africa in different ways, and there are many other writers in different parts of Africa. There are also different film producers, whether they're in Nigeria or they're in Kenya. There are writers like the Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka, or the highly anticipated potential Nobel laureate Ngugi wa Thiong'o, the Chedo Achebes, and the rest. These are people who have shaped society. These are people who have shaped society. These are people who point out, or people like the Mongo Betis in Cameroon, people like the Batebi songs in Cameroon, people like the Leopold Seda Senghor in Senegal, or the Amadou Kouroumas and the Sonny Labotansis, and etc. These are people who have always contributed to shape, to propose alternatives to society, or to show the weaknesses of society with the aim that society can construct those things, and so that we live happy, because the ultimate objective is that we live a happy life. And so that's something that culture can do, at least I believe culture can do, in its different facets, in its different forms, whether it is music, whether it is dance, whether it is writing, whether it is acting, even in dressing, and so on and so forth. So, and again, when problems already strike and they are happening, I also believe that, especially poetry, which is so activist, and even theater, these are artistic and cultural tools that we can always harness for the goodness of humanity, to be able to decry, to be able to bring exposure to hidden problems, or to hidden wounds that are eating the human body, and that in that way it is a kind of reactive way of culture solving those problems. So I want to take another practical example, and I like to take examples from Cameroon, where I come from. Through our traditional dances and other traditional practices, we can promote social cohesion. We can promote social cohesion in very different forms, like sorting out religious intolerance and political problems, whether they are armed or they are not armed, because simmering political problems can always explode at any moment. I'm thinking here about, for example, recent moves that were undertaken by some villages in the northwest of Cameroon, that initially are brothers, and then at one point they had misunderstandings, like land conflicts, fought wars. And here I'm talking particularly about the example of the Nsah and the Oku. But most recently, though that has been overshadowed by the very, very disgraceful and unnecessary, useless war that is going on, these people have come together, and they have been able to use their cultural activities to symbolize their brotherliness, and they are actually brothers. They are actually brothers, and historically, the one of the founding fathers of Nsah comes from Oku, and so when you see the way that the quiffon of one of these places is going to another one of the places to do that celebrations, and then the way traditional dances move from one of the places to another, and vice versa, to do a kind of reconciliatory funeral rites of maybe funds who have disappeared in the past and they were not able to participate in doing that, or princes and princesses, or other ordinary people, or like traditional title holders like Fais and Shears. So one important thing that comes out from there is that we can actually always live together through our culture, especially when we always identify that communities and societies, because we have these micro states, that colonization came and forced together into what they call countries today. And some people happen to be so obsessed about the whole thing of country, and they think that countries are social and cultural constructs. They are even, and in Africa, again, for that matter, the grandchildren of colonization, and we can always at any moment reshape our territories or whatever you call them, or the lands we inhabit with other creatures that got created. Because again, we are talking at a time when there is a huge ecological problem globally, environmental problem, and climate change. So we have these micro communities or micro states or micro nations that some people somewhere sat and decided to force them together through colonization into what we call countries. But they're exemplary in the way they negotiate their relationships. So, and culture is that fundamental thing, because neighboring communities, neighboring microstates, or you call them tribes or ethnic groups in Africa, usually have affinities. They can be linguistic affinities. You will see people, for example, in parts of Gabon who are linguistically and culturally part and parcel of their brothers and sisters in Cameroon or in Congo, Brazzaville. And that's the same thing that happens all across the continent. And then you also see cultural dances in one village that resemble or are exactly the same like those in another. And that's why when people like from Oku come to Nsah, or people from Nsah go to Kom, or people from Mankon go to Nkwen, or people from Nkwen go to Bambili, or people from Bafut go to Nkwen, they are these cultural groups or traditional dances that are similar or even exactly the same, and they can participate. You can be from one tribe or one ethnic group, and you're able to play the drums of the cultural group from another direction. So thank you, bro. So because, for example, I know people who from Nsah, when they go down to Din, I'm talking here again to come back to our brother Kenneth Ndimba, who proposed this. When they go down to Noni, there are things like the Samba dance, or there could be things like the Manjong dance, that they know how to play the drums or the gongs, or they know how to do the manifestations. And they join together to do that, to symbolize that they share a lot in common than they are different. So we have more in common. And one of the most common things about us is our shared humanity. We all belong to the human family. So this is a way in which a culture, I think, can be able to remind people of their belonging, or of their togetherness, and of the fact that they should live happily, because life is too short. Life is too short to engage in problems and in fightings and other things. I think averagely we now know that for the past more than 200 years or so, it is already a fact that a human being hardly lives above 90 or even 85. So we know how long we were going to be here, and we can make the best out of this short time that we'll be here, and leave it always in good shape for the next generation that takes over after us. And culture is very important in doing that. And culture evolves, and culture is dynamic. Culture borrows. Culture does what we call like linguistic borrowings. Just like languages borrow from each other, cultures borrow from each other, and they evolve together. So there are different ways, I think, in which culture can contribute to solving societal problems, whether they're political, whether they're religious, or whatever. So I would like to pause here and ask if somebody watching us has a contribution, another idea or another possibility or another way of thinking through this. And then you can share it in the comment section, please. We can share it in the comments section. And I remember I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I know one of us, one of my younger brothers, who is contemplating doing a research project on how culture can actually lead to reconciliation and reconstruction and things of the sort. If he were watching me here, he would know himself, but I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. And that's a good project. And I think that somebody like our brother Kenneth Ndimba, who asked this or who suggested this discussion point, can be a very useful contribution or resource person when that kind of project takes off. So any suggestions, any thoughts about different ways in which culture can contribute or in which culture can have an impact in solving political and social problems. I would like to welcome comments on this now, other suggestions, because what I've said are just my thoughts and they're not exhaustive. Okay. Well, yeah, so while rounding off this section of my discussion, I think that it has already been said that we are cultural beings and we are all implicated and imbricated in culture. And so the problems we have are cultural problems. They are, whether we call them political or social, they have a link with culture. And that while culture, if it is intolerant, can create them, culture has more of the potentials of preempting and preventing those problems from happening or even resolving them. Because even when the problem is already there happening and we're trying to hide it for selfish individual reasons, because we want to make ephemeral gains, short-lived gains out of human suffering or whatever, what is important is that cultural practitioners like musicians, like film directors and producers, like writers and so on and so forth, they are able to point to that problem. They are able to remind us that it is still there, that it has to be solved. And once it is solved, we can go on to other things because life is too short and people are busy. And we prefer to be busy over good things than over bad things. That being said, since there is no comment or contribution that has come in that direction, I want to go to another point of discussion which one of us raised. I think it was Kizito who raised this one about unemployment and how to overcome it. Yeah, and this one is a very good one, and I'm so happy because my brother Erasmus is watching, and at the moment we even have a project. Well, the project is limited only to sons and daughters of Nsah, and we have a reason for doing that. Perhaps in the future it could be opened up to people from other places, but at the moment it's just for us about entrepreneurship or entrepreneurial empowerment and coaching. Because as this question states, unemployment and how to overcome it, this is a massive, it's a terrible problem globally, and again it is amplified in Africa. Everywhere there are problems of either unemployment or underemployment, but the problem is that in most Western countries the percentages are quite manageable or negligible, but the problem is so huge for us here in Africa because of our demographics, because of the growing demographics. We have a vibrant growing population, which is an advantage if it is well used. But again, the worst underlying cause of this for us is the kind of educational systems that we operate in most of our countries, which are inherited from colonization and have not been met and have not been adapted or have not even been replaced or changed or made to suit the environment in which they operate. And it translates, or at least it reveals, it exposes one of the fundamental problems of most governments or most political regimes in Africa, which is that of inertia and that of resistance to change. And so we are forced to live in societies where a majority of people under 30 or under 40 are not gainfully employed. One, because the educational systems in place, when you take especially Francophone African countries, because I think at least the situation in places, Anglophone countries like Ghana, for example, or Kenya, for example, or Rwanda, that just recently went more or less Anglophone in nature, is quite different from Francophone Africa, especially in the Central African sub-region. Welcome, MD Mbutu. I know that this is one of those things that you like so much, and you are definitely going to give us lots of good contributions on it. So we are talking on employment and how it can be overcome. And like I was saying, we have these educational systems that create job seekers, and we pride ourselves. And so it's really a pity. But often we see ministers of education or secretaries of education from most of these countries parading themselves on TV and hitting their chest and claiming that they have professionalized education. And when you look at what we claim to have professionalized, it's a pity when we still continue to run programs in universities and run their duplicates in so-called professional schools, and people, you can graduate in one university with maybe a bachelor's in English, and then that university or the system of that country claims to be professionalized, but then you hold a bachelor's in English and you are not able to write an article for a journal or for a newspaper. You're not able to teach English. You've not taken classes in pedagogy. You've not taken classes in news writing or in news sourcing or whatever. And then we would say that the program is professionalized, or we will have a bachelor's in English and we are not able to handle creative writing. So how is the professionalization? Question mark. So, and then we also have that mentality. We also have the mentality amongst us that people think that everybody must work for the government. What I call in Cameroon, the matricule syndrome. And when I call it matricule syndrome, I'm using the French word for the civil service registration number or the payroll number, what we call a matricule. So whereby everybody thinks that they must have that magical figure, and then every month they must go to the bank and receive money. No thriving economy, no vibrant economy, no healthy economy, no well-advanced and industrialized country has achieved that status by having people who run after matricules. This is not to say that the matricule, whether we call it matricule or payroll, is not important. They are important, but they must not be the ultimate endpoint for everybody. And then the worst of all is that people get into these places and surprisingly they're so rich. But in serious societies, state functionaries, civil servants, public workers are not rich, and they're not supposed to be rich. They have the basic things of life that they need, but they are not supposed to be, except that they are not living on their salaries once they start stealing. And another thing is so funny because we are so euphemistic, so kind to thieves, to political thieves, that when people steal state money, instead of calling them thieves, we use a word like embezzlement. I know a child will need to go to a dictionary before they know what embezzle means. And then when somebody who is hungry maybe cuts down a bunch of plantains from their neighbor's farm, then we run around shouting that this man is a thief. Oh, this is a thief, this is a thief. And we have thieves protected, guarded by security officers. And they steal from taxpayers' money. And because people have no vision when they join the state payroll. So I think that sorting out unemployment will require that we are aware of the situation that we have systems that create job seekers, educational systems that need to be replaced, so that we can train people that have 21st century skills, that have skills that are suitable and convenient for the economic demands of nowadays. And we have economic systems that are running digital or that have computerization at their center. So we need people who create value. So that's the work of the educational systems. And we need educational systems in which we are not sold the lie that we have been sold in most of our countries in Africa, including especially Cameroon, where people have been made to think for a very long time that people who go to technical schools are the unintelligent ones. And when you have children, you select those who are very brilliant, those who are very intelligent, those who had the best scores in primary school, and you send them to general schools, what we call general schools. And then you take those who were like average people and you send them to the technical school. And this is a terrible lie that we have been sold for too long, and we have bought into it. And it's high time we came out of that lie to realize that economies function by having technicians by having people who do things that are people who do practical things. And this is not to say that the human sciences or the social sciences and the humanities are not important. They are important, but an economy cannot prosper if it all depends on that. That is what I'm trying to drive at here. So, coming back to your question, Kizito, unemployment and how to overcome it, I think the first thing is self-empowerment, because we can only come up for the moment that we say have this kind of educational systems in place. The only way we can come out of them is, first of all, to be aware that they are not helping, and then we should be able to train ourselves outside of them. That is, even when you have your advanced level or your A levels or your degree, you shouldn't stop there. You should be able to self-teach yourself, to get skills, to get practical skills, helpful skills that can help you. And the good news is that today, with the internet, knowledge acquisition has been highly, highly, highly democratized. With MOOCs, with online, that is massive online, open online courses, which are free of charge, with millions and billions of free videos or teaching videos on YouTube, and free articles and blogs that people share on social media, we can self-teach ourselves nowadays to the next billionaires, to the next anything we want to do in any field. If only we knew that the megabytes of internet we waste sometimes just commenting everything or just getting into funny groups to laugh, that we could use those things to self-teach ourselves and come out from unemployment and free ourselves from educational systems that do not produce job creators but job seekers, then we will appreciate this wonderful tool that has been put at our disposal, I mean the internet. And so self-empowerment by self-teaching ourselves, and then self-employment that goes with entrepreneurship, whether social or pure entrepreneurship. And that's where my project with my brother Erasmus is coming in, to coach people so they can be able to develop their business ideas, whether they're social businesses or they're pure businesses. But they should, when they are social businesses, the focus is both on creating value, making profits, but also solving one of the present problems that humanity is facing today. Some of those problems have come to be called stubborn problems. So the way to go, I would recommend, is self-empowerment, self-employment through entrepreneurship. And to be an entrepreneur, we must have visions. We must be able to take risks, and we shouldn't postpone things. And when we talk entrepreneurship, because once we start talking about entrepreneurship, I know that the majority of young people who are going to watch this video, especially afterwards, the first problem they always tell you that they lack capital. In serious entrepreneurship, capital comes always last. Capital is not a problem for a serious entrepreneur. We are not talking here about people who want to buy Maggi and salt and onion and oil and sell in the quarter. No, we are not talking about people who want to do just the business that the next neighbor is doing, or the business that everybody else has been doing in the quarter, or in the village, or in the town, or in the city, or in the country. Entrepreneurship is about creating some form of breakthroughs in sectors and domains, doing things in ways that nobody else is doing, adding value or creating value, coming with something to customers, either something everybody is coming with, but that you come in a new way, in a better packaged way, in a way that meets their satisfaction. So which means that you should be able to study the market, to make market analysis, identify the loopholes, the weaknesses, the lackings, the things that are absent. And then you say, well, I want to join this business. I want to come in as an agri-entrepreneur. I want to come in the IT sector. I want to come in the educational sector. I want to come in maybe the medical or pharmaceutical sector or whatever. But you come in there in a special way with a well thought out business plan. Because when you have a convincing business plan, once you have studied the market, once you have analyzed the market, you know who you are consumers or customers are going to be, or those who are going to be in need of your service, because it must not always be products. A business can still be a business that is offering services and not products. But you must identify who are the people I want to supply this service or this product to. Why do they need it? And why would they prefer mine over the ones that are already existing? Because you will hardly find a sector where people are not existing already. But the point is to make a difference so that you create competition. And then you have a vision for how do you plan to grow in the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 6 or 20 or 100 years. So with these kind of things in mind, it means we have to teach ourselves the fundamentals of starting a business, of running a business. And coincidentally, in a very happy way anyway, there is a course, and there are free courses on the YALI website. YALI is the Young African Leaders Initiative. And on the YALI website at yali.gov.state, I think. Anyway, after this, if somebody needs that, I can check it and paste as a comment here. There are many courses you can take. Either whether you want to create an NGO, you want to create a foundation, you want to run a course in your society, you want to run a social business, you want to run an agriculture or agri-business, you can take free courses there. Not to count the millions of free videos on YouTube where you can learn these things. So one of the first courses to go to there will be the course entitled The Fundamentals of Starting and Running a Business. I'm saying this specifically to you, Kizito, who suggested this discussion topic, but I know it can be helpful to other people. So you can take that course. It is the first thing I recommend people to go to and take. But the point is that, and there are many other courses, because when I recommend this course, there are other courses there. There are courses there like the fundamentals of business expansion. There are courses there about agri-business or agri-entrepreneurship and the way the agricultural chain is, and where you get different parts of it where you can come in with business. But the point is that people usually go and watch just one course. They don't take other courses, or they don't go to take more courses on YouTube, and especially courses on how to draw a business plan. And then the people will still come back and tell you that my main problem is capital. And then, because even if you were willing, assuming that you are willing and you have the money to spare, and you say, well, this is my brother, and he wants to get into poultry farming, or he wants to get into pig rearing, or he wants to get into fish rearing, or he wants to get into cultivating pineapple, or this, you would need a serious investor, would need to see your business plan and see the potential in that plan. And another good news is that they are actually what they call angel investors who can invest into your business, and also there are competitions you can win by just pitching your business idea once it is fully developed and has a plan. So that it moves from just an idea, just saying, I think that if I had money, I would do this or that. You should really have that plan well drawn and developed in a professional way. And to do it in a professional way, you have to learn, and you have to learn, and they are free, millions of free resources online where you can learn step by step how to come up with a business plan, how to turn a business idea into a business plan, and eventually into a full-blown business, passing through a startup status. So once you do that, if you take your time, if you are patient enough to learn, and then you meet people now with a business plan, and you say, well, I'm thinking about doing this business, and the person say, oh, wow, that sounds good, but can I see the details of it? Can I see the plan? It is on the basis of the plan that the person can say, oh, I know this foundation or this organization. I know the Tony Elumelu Foundation, for example. I know maybe the Japanese young people's program. I know about the Queen's young people program. I know about the African Union. People will tell you about programs where you can apply or pitch that program, plan, and you may win. You may win some funding, seed funding. And again, you also have to learn, because along the way, apart from learning how to turn your idea into a plan, you also need to learn. People actually learn how to raise funds for a business. And you can learn that online. You can learn it free of charge, how to raise funds. But the point is that it is not important. It is useless if you are raising funds for a business idea that is not well developed, that is not well thought out, a solid and resistant business idea. Though, yeah, of course, there will always be surprising elements where some things you thought were so good could fail. But one good thing is that entrepreneurs never back down. They never pack out. They fail and they continue to try. But you must try on blueprints. You must try on professional samples, on professionally designed business ideas and plans. And that is the only way you can get people on board to support your idea or to even spread your idea. Because the point is that we should not just think that, okay, well, when these guys are talking about entrepreneurship, it means that definitely they have some money to give us. Or like, yeah, and that's another thing. Let nobody think that the program my brother Erasmus and I, we want to run is about giving people money. We don't have any money to give people. It's about teaching people how to go get the money. And the only way to go get the money by yourself is starting from scratch, knowing how to transform that idea into a fully developed plan, learning about different ideas of raising those funds, and then you're doing those things that people coach you to do them. That is putting those resources at your disposal or telling you where you can get those resources free or cheaper. That's a good job that somebody can do to a community to assist them. So I come again. Self-empowerment, self-employment, entrepreneurship is the way out, Kizito, out of unemployment. So in as much as we think that, especially because the private sector in most of our countries is deplorable, people pay just mocking salaries. Let me use that expression. People pay the salaries that are ridiculous. When you look at the private sector and hear some of the kind of salaries people pay, it's really, really wicked. And those people actually earn money from those enterprises, from those businesses, and they earn the money because of the workers, but they don't pay them well. So the only way out is that if you are in those kind of sectors, gather a little bit of whatever you can gather there as money or whatever, save a bit of it, then use other strategies of raising funds when you shall have already thought out your business strategy, your business idea, developed into a plan, and you launch your startup. You invest into it, perhaps you may keep it. You are doing that startup and then still doing your job. You do your job full time, and then you invest part of your time into your business. It could be a farm you are running, it could be another form of business, it could be a restaurant, it could be a service you're offering. And then with time, when your business grows to a certain level where you think you can, well, now just live on it, you can resign from that job that doesn't pay you well or that is not driving you towards your vision. So it's also about vision. Because there are actually some people who just have the vision that, well, I am so passionate, I want to be a doctor. Not that I want to own a hospital. I want to save lives in hospitals and I want to receive a salary for doing that. Or I want to be a teacher, actually out of the heart, not because of the economic frustrations, because we have to make this clear. There are so many people, so many of our young people, so many youth. I'm not saying youth with S, I'm not adding S to youth. It doesn't take the S. So there's so many people who find themselves in different professions out of desperation because there was nothing existing, again, not because they really have a passion for that. So we have to make this demarcation clear. We are not saying people who have a passion or a calling to be a university professor or who have a calling to be a medical doctor or to be an engineer working under somebody that's a bad thing. No, even in the businesses, we need those kind of people. But the point is that you shouldn't get into those things without a passion. You shouldn't. If you don't have a calling, if you don't actually believe, you have the strong conviction in you that I need to be this. I want to spend the rest of the 100 years or 80 or 70 or 90 that God will give me. I want to spend them helping humanity or saving humanity in this or that sector. If you just want to join it because it's the next available job, I bet you will not be satisfied there. And neither will you satisfy people or people who seek services there or the products of that company. So it's better to be where we really want to belong. And that for the business sector, it takes time, it takes patience to learn and practice it before it goes. And it's not, we are not talking about classical businesses of selling Maggi. We're not talking about classical businesses of selling Omo or selling Janga. No. You hardly see anybody who is willing to stake his money in those kind of businesses as an investor. Well, I want to stop here. I want to pause here, but perhaps there is one other thing I want to talk about as far as unemployment and sorting it out is concerned, but I thought I should pause a bit. Perhaps one of us has some remarks to give. Oh, actually, we have 11 comments, so I have to read them. Thank you so much. Everybody who has commented, I will check them out and read them because I am already guessing that maybe MD, Mutu, and Eras have commented and many other people. Let me read them. And then please, if you have more comments you can bring up as additions to the things I've been saying, please just do comments so I can read them out now and people can also read them later on. So I want to read comments. I hope I will be able to. I can see that there are 11 comments, but I'm unable to read them, to access them. I think I will be forced to open a second Facebook page. Yeah, this is what I will do. Good. I've already seen that Butu commented and he mentioned me. So I'm going there straight away. Open a second Facebook page. No, yeah. What I actually want to do now is to read comments. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Butu said, "Great insight, beautiful." I've already seen Butu. Thank you, bro. I'm really trying to access the 11 comments here, but I have technical issues. I don't know if there is somebody who can see them. Because the only comment I see so far is a comment from Erasmus. Okay, good. I think I can see them now. Yes, Erasmus said, our problem of unemployment comes from our system of education, which trains us to be dependent and not independent, and anyone who is not independent-minded is limited. Thank you, bro. I think I already said that the bedrock of this problem, the starting point is educational systems that train job seekers and not job creators. Thank you for adding to my voice. You also, even the professional schools we have today still follow the same system of dependency. Exactly. Because we don't train people to think critically. They're not critical thinking skills. They're not thinking out of the box skills. Because we tend to have systems where people must repeat what the professor taught them. People must regurgitate. And it seems that sometimes some, not all, will not be happy to see you apply the things you taught them and apply better or even go beyond that, which is a pity. Yes, self-empowerment, very important, as MD said. Thank you, bro. A real entrepreneur starts with zero capital. Yes, bro, thank you. I know somebody in Togo. I think that, I can't remember the guy's name, but he has this concept, and the concept is already for him like a brand. The guy was actually an economist. He was working in the Western world, but then he resigned and went back home to Togo. And he's doing this concept he calls commencer à zero, something like that. Yeah, it's something, I'm not using the exact terms, but the concept is about starting from zero, starting businesses from zero. And the guy himself is making a lot of money by teaching people how to start from zero. And there are lots of people who have started from zero and they're so happy today because of him. So that's actually why I'm just bringing in his idea, because I saw that comment from you, bro, where you said a real entrepreneur starts with zero capital. Yeah, it really happens. It works. There are businesses you can start in your bedroom, even when you are just renting. Nowadays, there are business people run on social media. The other day, when I was reading through the results of a certain entrepreneurship prize that was organized, I think maybe by the Oroko people, I think. Yeah, at least it's one of the ethnic communities in the southwest region of Cameroon. And I was so glad to notice in the results that there is one lady whose business is about supplying food, Cameroonian and African food, to Cameroonians and other Africans in the diaspora, in Europe, in America, in Asia, and that business is run exclusively on social media. And she won a prize for that. And once she's already winning a prize, it's because the business is doing well and is promising to do well. So usually people will say, I don't have capital, I don't have this, and they have data. They're using free data, everything. Even with what MTM or Nsah or whoever they call it, free mode, where you can be able to post things on social media without even pictures. You can still do business with that thing. You can do business, serious business with that kind of thing. Yes, bro. MD said, as students, whether in secondary school or university during holidays, get involved in extracurricular activities in the professional fields in which you are interested in working when you leave school. Yes, thank you so much, brother. It is a bit like academic internship. Exactly. I want to say a few words on this point that MD raised. For example, you can be in secondary school or high school or university, and you think that you want to run a business. You want to run a business maybe in the agricultural sector, or maybe in the IT sector. Why not go to Boya for example, during one of your holidays and asked to do some 1 or 2 months voluntary service at one of the IT companies at Silicon Mountain, you can do that. And I know very helpful people there who are always ready to give you, to lend us a helping hand. The people like Otto Akama and the rest there. People like my brother Barry Babe, who are affiliated with that area. And the people like the founder of Njoku and the rest, you can do an internship there, you can give them some free service. And while you're doing that, you will learn a lot of skills that nobody can teach you in school. Just like, for example, if you think that you want to run a business maybe in the fashion sector, even whether you are a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. You can, during your holidays, go to somebody who is a tailor. I say, well, I want to learn tailoring or to assist you in doing that. If you have some money, you can actually pay to learn tailoring. Or otherwise, if you don't even have the money, you can look for somebody that explain it to them clearly. What your intentions are, you will definitely find somebody who is willing to let you assist them with 1 or 2 things, maybe by day or by evening, and you also learn from their workshop. You gather those skills so that by the time you are launching a business in that direction, you have at least some fundamental, some basic knowledge of that domain. You have some basic knowledge of that domain. And it's like this academic internship that our brother is talking about. And we should also be sounding this to companies in our country. Companies here in Cameroon and elsewhere should learn to open space for young people to do internship. And by internship, we should not only just exploit them, because there are people who come even for internship and they do a wonderful service that sometimes even paid employees don't do. We should also be generous enough to give them some little compensation or remuneration. Because in the Western world, in countries like Denmark and or Switzerland, which are good models of how what they call learning by internships, they are very successful doing this learning by internship. Where, or even in France, there is something they call apprentissage par alternance, where you are in school, you are doing a program, and then you also go to a company that is in a related sector and you do some work there, and you are paid for doing that work. So our companies can also be willing, not necessarily maybe to pay. Some of them will say they don't have enough money to pay, but we create an enabling environment. We can be able to, even at the end of the whole internship, to give at least hand an envelope, even if it's just 5,000 given out of the heart, even 10,000, to say thank you. We saw what you did; it was amazing. Can you come again, or do you know somebody who may want to come? We should be able to do these things, because we have very stubborn governments that don't want to revise curriculum. And the only way to sort out this kind of thing is by doing it ourselves, showing these things by example. That if we have run our own schools, we should be able to bring innovative dimensions into those schools. And so by doing these things, there will be niches, but with time they will become mainstream. People will buy into them and they will implement them. So thank you, bro. Then another one, you said develop a reading habit. Yes, people have to read. And read savagely, as we say, read intelligibly, not just read to understand, read to apply what you are reading for. Because another very thing is that we have many websites nowadays with free books, or even free, sometimes even just free summaries, but that summarize the pertinent or the salient issues raised in some books. That even if you want to say, well, it's about poverty, I don't have money, you can read millions and millions of free books nowadays. There are millions of them. And like, just take a sector like even the children's literature. One of the things I'm doing nowadays, there are so many books you can buy and read. There are also even books like from Book Dash in South Africa, which you can read free of charge for you and your children. There are books like from the website known as African Story. You can read them. And you can also go to YouTube and you watch books that people have actually bought and read there for free. So we have to read. And there are lots of books about personal development. Personal and professional development. There are books by experts in this field. Books like How Rich People Think, books like The Power of Positive Thinking. We have those books, and most of them are free PDF online nowadays. Why not just download them, keep them on your phone, sign off with your data so that you're not distracted by somebody trying to say hello, hi, and read. And out of that, you can create a wonderful business. It's possible. You can do it. Yes, thank you, bro. And then mind wide open, my motto. Yeah, mind. Okay, my brother Erasmus said that the mind actually means what? Mind. Okay, mind wide open. We have to have open minds. widely open. Another contribution from MG is, as a Cameroonian, I will advise you to remove the word concours from your professional vocabulary. Yes, thank you, bro. And this brings me to quote somebody I was engaging on his timeline, I think 2 days ago, and he was also talking about this thing. He is our brother, Solomon, who has Bantu voices. And he was talking about the same thing. And I engaged with him on that. And because I agreed with lots of things he said, and I was adding my voice to him. And I was also trying to say that we have to make it clear, let people not think that we're saying, well, nobody should work in the public service. Public services have to continue to exist, but they should not be the number one and only destination for every young person in the world. As we are saying, please, my brothers and sisters, no great economy, no successfully industrialized nation on earth did that by having people running around government work jobs. No way. If you doubt me, we have very good examples just next door. Ask Nigeria. Or maybe ask even Ghana or Kenya. Not to take distant examples like the USA or the UK or France or Germany or Japan and China. Thriving and booming and prosperous economies do that because of the private sector. People who are creating value, people who are creating jobs for themselves and for others. And we have to teach these things. And here is an opportunity for me to give my salute to one of our brothers. His name is, I think, Roland, who is running a good program, entrepreneurship for kids, and he does it with schools around. And that's a good idea. Keep it up, bro. And that's a program we can copy, I think, because one other thing about us is that people are ashamed to copy good things. You can copy a good thing. You can also run that. While we are thanking people who are promoting initiatives about how to buy books and read with our children. I've done so many videos here talking about that, the importance of reading for our children, and also where you can find free books to read for your children, and where you can buy books in places like Yaoundé and elsewhere. We must also congratulate and encourage people like him who is running that entrepreneurship program for kids. It's amazing. And those are the things we should do, because it is only by doing these things that we can be able to change the mentalities of the people in office, in big offices, who are supposed to improve our educational system and they don't want to. We can teach them by examples. So it is important for us to know, because when everybody is running after concours, and I like it because it's words, and concours is actually a French word for competitive entrance examination, but it has been integrated into both the English and French vocabularies of Cameroon. So we cannot have a successful generation or a successful economy built on only young people who finish high school and then they start jumping from one concours to another. It cannot work that way. Because when you look even at the recent concours that were launched in a country, like entrance examinations into the different écoles normales, you find some of them where the slots, the number of people for a particular series is like 6 or 7 people. And we know, excuse me, thousands of people who will be writing, sitting that thing. Just imagine the money you spend compiling. And I have many people I know many people who have written, and sometimes who are not even sure about it. And then it's like you take your money and you are sticking it, because just to compile documents for those kind of things, it costs sometimes over 50,000 or 30,000. And like we are saying, there are people who are billionaires today and they started their businesses from zero. And now just imagine that you take 30,000 and you go and give it to Joe like that, free of charge. And that is money that if you just did some free learning online, you could invest that money. You could invest that money. And there are people who raise millions and use the millions in certain kinds of projects, and you just look at them and just laugh, because that's money that with just free. I don't even want to talk about paying for anything like business administration or entrepreneurship. There are free resources on Facebook, through WhatsApp, on YouTube, especially on YouTube, and MOOCs, massive open online courses where you can learn and apply and use that money to start up something that will keep you happy for the rest of your life here on earth, even your children and your family and the people that will buy into your vision and work together with you. And then another worst thing with the syndrome of running after concours is that we find so many people in professions where they're not supposed to be. When you go into a hospital, for example, and you find a nurse or a midwife who is insulting a woman in pain, in labor, do you think that midwife was supposed to be a midwife? No way. Those are people who miss their ways. because they run after one concours or the other. Or you will find people who are for example, maybe in the police corps, who are not supposed to be police officers. And then you will just know it by their behavior. But when you see those who went there because they had the passion, the real passion to go there, you find them, they do their things differently. They do their things differently. Or you go to a classroom and you see somebody who was supposed to be a business owner, but just because he was running after concours, he finds himself in class and then he transmits all frustrations and everything onto innocent children. You see that in the behavior of the people. So that's another bad aspect of this whole concours thing, not to talk about the fact that it makes people continuously dependent. So I just wanted to add my voice there, Brother MD. Yes, that apart from the fact that it inhibits the ability for creativity in people, another problem is that it makes people get into professions or careers or jobs that are not theirs, where they have no calling, where they have no passion, and they deliver very poor services to people. Okay, and you also say thank you, bro, and thank you, bro, Max. You said courage, bro, or courage, bro. Thank you, bro. I think there are 3 more comments I will take, and then I will come back and say one or two things again about this whole issue of unemployment. Just excuse me. I'm unable to see the remaining comments. Maybe they are up. Let me check up. Nope, I can't find it up. But actually, I've been told that there are 3 new comments. Perhaps somebody commented on another person's comment, maybe replies. Please, if you have sent a pertinent comment which I have not yet read, can you just kindly copy it and paste again, please? If possible, you can just copy and paste again, and as a new comment, perhaps I will be able to see that one. So while I will be struggling to see if I can read the 3 comments to which I have no access at the moment, another way out is talent identification and promotion. We have to identify our talents and our gifts, apart from entrepreneurship. And again, yeah, we have to get in that direction if we also feel that we have the talent there or we have the gift. But we can actually learn it along the way, and if we find that it's not where we belong, we can always change. We can always change and do something else. But it's very important to talk about talent identification, because one of the fundamental problems with our young people is that you find people, whether in secondary school or high school, and you ask them, what do you want to do after your A-level? They say, I don't yet know. No, I will only know when I pass. And those are people who have so many beautiful talents, people who have wonderful talents, and we are unable to identify them. When we find somebody like DJ Drogba, for example, in Cote d'Ivoire, or Etofis in Cameroon, or the Patrick Bomas, these people are not known for their certificates or their educational levels. They are known for their talent, and their talent is football. When you take people like Manu Dibango, these are people who are known not for their certificates or their levels of education or their jobs or their concours, they Sept. They are known for their talents. And you can take every other sector, like acting, like writing, and so on and so forth, and you'll find people there who have talent. And so we can actually identify our talents, and we should identify our talents and build on them musically, whether they're musical talents, whether they are acting talents. And so that even when we are in school, we have to ask ourselves, what am I talented at? What can I do? What can I do different? Or what is that thing that keeps me smiling each time I'm doing it? We can identify those things, because talent for me, in simpler terms, is those things we were born with, those innate things we were born with, but that we can perfect or improve by learning. So because like somebody who plays drums, there are people that just from birth, they can already play drums in a very excellent way, but they might want to go on and learn more about drumming. And so by the time they graduate from a drumming or a musical school, they have learned some skills along the way, but initially they had a talent in playing drums. Thank you so much. I must actually acknowledge the presence here of Mr. Omar Toure. This is one of the people who have impacted me so well that I cannot forget. He is actually the director of the Yali Center in Senegal. the Yali Center for West Africa. It's an honor to have you watching Nsah. And we will be very happy to hear from you, to read some of your comments, because we are talking about, at the moment, we are talking about how to solve the problem of unemployment in Africa, and you are one of the experts. You have done a lot to us, but I think you can still do more, and you are willing to do. So welcome, sir, and do feel free to comment. It's an honor to have you. So I come back to the point of talent. It is important to identify our talents, as I was saying. Because once we notice these kind of things, like I know people in Cameroon, I've seen so many people in Cameroon online who are so talented in drawing. They draw so well. I know many of them. Some of them are actually my close brothers. They draw so well. You just sit like this and they draw you. Those are exceptional talents, and you can go very far with them. In the Western world, there are people who are popular and rich by just doing photography. And then there are people who are popular and rich by just drawing or painting. And so one of the things I've been asking them recently, they can tell you, anybody I've seen who has that talent in drawing or painting, I've sent them an invitation and we have become friends. And one of the questions I've been asking them all these days is, do you do illustrations? Do you do children's illustrations? Because most of these people have the talent of drawing. I know my friends and my brothers right from primary and secondary school who were wonderful guys in drawing. And these are people now, they already have the talent of drawing. What they should do, or they can do, is that they can perfect it. Now, we have a few schools for fine arts in Cameroon and some other African countries. They can go to those schools instead of being deceived to go and do general education. And then they will learn, they will perfect their art, and they will learn how to organize an exhibition and exhibit their drawings or their paintings. These are things that people can do in, like, for example, the Institut de Beaux-Arts in Fumba, the Institute of Fine Arts in Fumba, or the Institut de Beaux-Arts in Konsamba, or even at the Department of Beaux-Arts Fine Arts in the University of Yaoundé 1, just to give examples within Cameroon. But there are also examples that people can do, there are things people can learn online about drawing and painting. And then you excel in that area, because that's your gift. That's your talent, but you can improve it. You can learn some skills and add on to that, and you will do well. You will do so well. So now, why I'm asking them if they do children's illustration is that one of the things we have all come to agree that, because I'm also a writer, I'm into the writing sector apart from the education and other sectors. It is already a fact that we have very few books, especially children's books. At least for adults literature, we have a lot. Or at least we have substantial literature from Africa, but we have very limited literature from Africa in the children's domain. Somebody like our brother who runs Muna Kalati, he will tell you here, we have a very, very limited resources in terms of children's literature, except for the great initiatives of projects like Book Dash in South Africa and the African Story Project. We have very limited resources or books by African authors featuring African young characters or characters for the pleasure of younger people. And so now there is this growing interest in that area. People have identified that even in the Western world, and they're willing to fill the gap. But it will be important to have people illustrating those books who, like, for example, I have a couple of children's books I've written, and there are some of them I'm submitting and waiting for feedback on them, but there are also some I could decide maybe publish directly or to publish by collaborating with a brother from my same country who better understand the concepts, the ideas, or how the characters should dress, and he would illustrate those books and we can publish them together, for example. And there is actually a lot that people do gain from the domain of children's illustration of books. Not to mention the fact again that if you are African and you're getting into it at a time when we all acknowledge the deficiency or the insufficiency, I should say, of children's books, of pictures books, or illustrated books, or even graphic books by people in Africa, we can get into those domains by first of all harnessing the talent that we have identified. And yes, I should mention that one of my books is really talking about talent identification, or how we can use our talents to become what we want to become, or to do what we want to do, or to achieve what we want to achieve. And that book is entitled Mounting the Stairs of Challenge. It is available as an ebook on Amazon. But under very exceptional circumstances, I can still discuss with people privately if they are willing to have it and they are not able to have it. Because the important thing for me is not the money. The important thing for me, life is for me is too big to be staked on money. Money is not about life, and life is not about money. So that being said, we have to take our talents so seriously. And I think at this point also be congratulating the people who run Zebra Comics, because that's another area where we have limited talent, or not, maybe not, I should not say limited talent, but where we don't really, it's not visible. But Zebra Comics in Cameroon is doing a great job there. So I'm saying kudos to you guys there, and MD is part of the team, and people like Frank Agogo and Ian Ejop, etc. So guys, thank you, and do keep up. I think I've been able to see. Thank you, Native River. Your comment says, until we start seeking for a rich-stricken mentality, we always find ourselves stranded in every stride. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I like that. It sounds poetic, doesn't it? I think it does. So yeah, we really need to have to get that rich-stricken mentality, because it all begins and ends with the mind. All these great innovations we find today, whether they're from the Bill Gates or the Mark Zuckerbergs or whoever, or the billions that people like Dangote or people like Tony Elumulov are making, they all sat down and imagined those things. They thought about those things. They had those visions first mentally. They had mental pictures of those things that are happening today. So we can do it. And we need to have that kind of mindset. Thank you, bro. I was able to read your comment, but there are 6 other comments I can't read. Oh my God. What should I do? Please, if somebody is a technician here, can you just tell me how I can be able to find these comments and read? So I think that at the same time, when we were discussing unemployment and how to overcome it, I've been talking about, we have mentioned volunteering in passing, we have mentioned talent identification, we have mentioned self-empowerment, self-employment, and entrepreneurship. And I think that these things at the same time are also answering your, or at least going in the same direction, like what our sister Ngam Juan, because her proposal was that we should discuss how to exploit opportunities around the world to better our lives. I think we have lots of these things are interwoven, because I've been mentioning a lot of resources online, like MOOCs, like the Yali courses we can take, or even applying for the Yali programs and learning from YouTube. These are things we can do, and just sitting within the comfort of our very rooms, wherever we are, we can be able to experience the whole world just there and learn from those experiences. And then, not to mention a good, very good school I recommend for people who complain about tuition, the University of the People in the US. It is tuition free and has lots of scholarships, and you study from the comfort of your home and your job. That's another one. I've done lots of videos in the past on these opportunities, on scholarships, on how to get them. My most recent video was done exclusively in the French language. So if you are willing, I will always recommend you can check my timeline. If it is difficult to find those videos in my timeline, please check out my YouTube channel. You will find all those videos. Any video I do here, even this one, it will be transferred to my YouTube channel. So you can always come back and watch it. Or if you have somebody you want to send to watch, I should recognize your presence. Sam Andofo is one of the great guys we have in the entrepreneurship sector. He's one of the guys who is revolutionizing care or domestic work. Thank you so much for joining, my brother. So we have lots of people here who can serve as mentors, who can contribute and write, and I'm definitely sure your written comments, though I cannot see them. I should look out another way of seeing your comments, because I don't want to sign out without reading them. Please, you have to bear with me. So Samandofo, thank you for being here, and every other person watching, please thank you for being here. And do not worry that I've not read your comments. If you have not read, I've not yet found it. I want to look to see if I can use my handset to access the comments. So while I'm doing this, please let other comments just be coming. Let other comments just be coming. And I was saying that for the opportunities that our sister was talking about, I have done that time and again, talking about scholarships and other forms of opportunities to study abroad. I always talk about that in different videos, and I will continue to talk for sure. I will continue to talk. But I think that today was important to focus more or less on what we have been doing and touch it indirectly. I want to see if I'm able to find those comments from here. My goodness, what do I do? I'm still not able to find the comments from here. Okay, let me just see. Let me see. What should I do to get this comment? And the funny thing is that if somebody has an idea now, the idea will be sent in the form of a comment, and I might not see the comment. Oh my God. This is really, really bad. Please just give me a minute. I will find a way out. I will see how to go about this. I will, excuse me, I will have to actually go away from here, but I will come back. I will not switch off. I am back and hoping that I can be able to find them now. Thank you for your patience. I've come back and I am being told that I have up to 9 new comments now. So let me just go through the comments again. I am back. Thank you for your patience. I've come back and I am being told that I have up to 9 new comments now. So this is a very bad experience I've had today. I don't know what is happening. I am still not able to find these comments. Yeah. Whatever the case, well, I think, yeah, the most basic things have been discussed already. The most basic of things have been discussed already about how to sort out the problem of unemployment. I think I'm thanking everybody who commented, and perhaps you might want to add your comment, especially Native River. Please, can you say more? Can you send a longer comment? I think that if you send, I will be able to see yours. Can you send a longer comment or and elaborate more on your first comment, which says, until we start seeking for a rich-stricken mentality, we always find ourselves stranded in every strife. Please, can you say more about that? Kindly say more about that. And what I will do is at the end of this video, I will comment. Yeah, I will comment. One of my comments will have the link to the yearly free courses online. And another one will be to one of the videos on my channel, YouTube channel, so that once you go there and watch the video, you can be able to access other videos on that channel. We have this. Yep, you read this comment already. Thank you. Yeah, we read this one too. Okay, yeah, I understand what's happening now. I think the number of comments is really about comments which have already been read. So Yeah, I understand it that way. So please, I'm waiting. While I'm waiting for Native River, I want to get the yearly link to free courses, which I will be pasting here under the comments. So I'm typing the comment now, yearly free courses. Good. There we go. Yeah, I just sent it. Good. Now I understand that there is nothing to worry about. You can find the yearly free courses there. And I will bring a link to one of my videos. I think I will bring a link to the video that I did about 2 weeks ago in French about scholarships, international scholarships. I will bring it from my YouTube channel, and then as I paste it from there, we can be able to follow up other videos, similar and related videos on my channel, which are named Opportunities Forum with Samala. Okay. Okay. Good. I got it. I got it. So I'm going to put it here. Just title it as it is. Samala sur les bourses. Please, and really do help to share this video to our Francophone brothers and sisters, because often I do the videos in English and sometimes I mix the English and French, but this one was exclusively in French, and I was doing it on invitation by le Petit Journal des étudiants et jeunes Congolais en France. So I think that can be helpful. All right, so that is it for today. Except somebody has another contribution to give. There was an idea that our brother Kevin gave, but I thought it not possible logistically and time-wise to have it discussed today. That's a spiritual one. He was talking about the possibility of a universal church. Yeah, so just want to let you know that I got your idea, and that there were other ideas people suggested, and they were completely out of my areas of interest or expertise, and I left them. So we were discussing basically on how culture can impact in solving political and religious problems as proposed by our brother Ken Ndimba. And then we were also discussing about unemployment and how to overcome it as suggested by our brother Kizito Nda. And indirectly also discussing how to exploit opportunities around the world to better our lives as suggested by Sister Ngamjuan. So thank you everybody for watching. Thank you Basson V. Roland. Thank you Poet Ekpe Enyan. Thank you Monsieur Jean-Claude Mihire. Thank you Gamaliel. Thank you Menyang. Thank you Valentine Munge. I think Valentine, except I'm making a mistake, Valentine should be the person who is running a good agricultural enterprise. If I'm mistaking you, brother, feel free to correct me, because I think there is one of our brothers in around Bafut who's doing so well in agriculture. Not to mention people like Roland Fomundam, who is doing wonders with Green House Ventures. Thank you, DJ Stanlo, for watching. And you are doing good with music. That's a talent to keep up. Thank you, brother Erasmus, for watching. Merci, Marie Vicky. Thank you, Marie Vicky, for watching. Thank you, Diogo Diallo. Thank you, brother MD Butu. Thank you, Dr. Abeti Gwandi. It's an honor to have you watching, Dr. Abeti Gwandi, who is a lecturer at the University of Buea and also a writer. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sama Ndofo, our brother who is doing super good with summer care. Thank you, brother Max Ngum. Thank you, big bro. Thank you. You know why I said thank you. Thank you so much. Merci, Yves Pindeli. Merci beaucoup, Yves. You are doing so well by developing children's talents in music. Merci beaucoup de promouvoir les talents des jeunes en musique. Merci d'être venu sur ma vidéo. C'est un honneur. C'est un plaisir aussi. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Adrian Yebosa. Thank you, Before Maria. Happy to know you are watching. Maria, keep on. Keep on. I know the good work you are doing in the health sector. Just do keep on. And special merci, special thank you to Mr. Omar Toure, who watched us all the way from Dakar, the brain, the powerful man behind the powerful team at Yali Dakar. And thank you for all the training you did for us there. Thank you, Niti Friva, for watching my brother and for commenting. Thank you, Josephat Mushemba. Thank you, Dr. Hassan Ibrahim, watching all the way from the University of Ngandere. He is a writer too. Thank you, Tagore Prize, Literary Prize. Thank you, Mr. Usman Ali Lawan. And it's an honor to have had Mr. Usman Ali Lawan here. I should mention before I close that Mr. Usman Ali is running a wonderful agri-business in Nigeria, and it is called Farmers in Suits. So please, if you are here and you want to be a farmer in suits, sorry that it's getting dark and I have to close now, but if you want to be a farmer in suits, if you want to be within the confines of your comfortable office or whatever, but while you are investing in farming, whether in Nigeria or wherever you are farm, you can do that in Nigeria through the wonderful business that Mr. Usman Ali Lawan is running. So thank you for watching with us. Thank you, Dr. Labang, an educationist and a writer. It's an honor to know that you were watching with us. And finally, last but not the least, thank you, Stefan. I think it should be Stephanie. There is this thing about comments that has appeared somewhere and I'm not able to see the last name to read it out. I guess it should be Stephanie. Thank you for watching, Stephanie. Thank you, everybody. We take the rendezvous again, perhaps maybe next weekend or some other time, but whenever I feel like I have a bit of time, I will always ask about possible topics, so we can take these topics again and refine them and bring up newer ideas and discuss them. Thank you so much, and do have a nice evening, a nice day. Bye-bye.